I would like to talk briefly about wind formation, direction, and global circulation. Wind is just the horizontal movement of air due to differences in pressure gradient. Uneven heating of the Earth's surface causes differences in pressure, which in turn causes air to flow from areas of higher pressure to areas of lower pressure so the air can spread out. While pressure gradient is the greatest factor in determining wind direction, it is also affected by the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is caused by rotation of Earth on its axis. This causes air to deflect to the right as air travels from the equator towards the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and air to deflect to the left as air travels from the equator to the South Pole in the southern hemisphere. Air within a few kilometers of the Earth's surface is also subject to friction. This is the opposing force that slows wind and in turn alters its direction. As it reduces the speed, it lessens the Coriolis effect. This is compounded as we look at rougher terrain. This picture shows us exactly how the Coriolis effect works. In essence, the areas along the equator are spinning at a faster velocity than those areas near the pole, creating the deflection of the movement of air. Here we look at how the Coriolis effect has an influence upon high and low pressure sensors. In the northern hemisphere, low pressure sensors rotate counterclockwise and inward, creating cyclones with a net inflow of air through convergence. High pressure systems rotate clockwise with a net outflow of air, creating divergence as anticyclones. This is reversed in the southern hemisphere, where we see low pressure systems rotating clockwise and high pressure systems rotating counterclockwise. Here we can see the different pressure zones that are created across the surface of the Earth. Beginning at the equator, we have an equatorial low pressure system. Here we can see trade winds that are created by the flow of air to the left. Next, we have a subtropical high pressure system where westerly winds are created, followed by a subpolar low pressure system where we see easterlies, and finally a polar high pressure system. The areas where we see the low pressure systems at the equatorial low and subpolar low are marked by greater winds and precipitation. This shows us how these systems pan out across the atmosphere and the changing directions of the winds and the alternating high and low pressure systems from the pole to the equator. Here we can see how these are laid out through different convection systems. There are 6 different convection zones that are created for the redistribution of heat. Near the equator, we can see that there is an area where we have the low pressure creating global winds. And we see that we have Hadley cells from about 0 to 30 degrees north and 0 to 30 degrees south of the equator. Here we have ascending damp, moist, hot air that creates a lot of precipitation. Then we see that we have Ferrel cells from about 30 degrees to 60 degrees north and south of the equator. This is marked by drier, hot, stable air, and this is where we typically find most of our greater deserts. Finally, we have the areas that are called the polar cells from about 60 degrees to 90 degrees south of the equator. These are marked by dry, cold, polar air. Lastly, we have flow of wind on the local level. We can see that bodies of water and terrain such as valleys and mountains also affect winds. Looking at valleys and mountains, warm air flows up the sides of the mountain during the day when it's hot, and cool air flows back down. At night, this is reversed. Cool air flows down the sides of the mountains as warm air flows up. Looking at the oceans and other bodies of water during the day, The land is warmer than the water, so cool breezes flow from the water while warm air flows out towards the ocean. This is reversed at night when the land cools at a faster rate and cool air flows from the land while warm air flows from the sea in towards